Okay, we are at Inman Middle School, where we have probably one of the most voracious readers in the Atlanta public school system. I'd like everybody to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Miss Kamenitsa. I'm the media specialist at Inman Middle.
Hi, I'm Vicky Walters. I'm a sixth grader at Inman Middle School.
And I'm Wendy Baker, and I'm a 6th grade language arts teacher at Inman Middle School.
We would like Vicky to talk about this contest you won. You won the Jacket2Jacket, or were a winner in the Jacket2Jacket reading contest at Georgia Tech. And if my memory is correct, you read something to the effect of 19 books and about 5,000 pages.
5,388.
Over about a 6-week period, and you were one of 10 finishers in the metro Atlanta area, and I believe you're the only middle school student to finish. You were 8th, correct?
Yay, Vicky!
Yay! And we talked earlier off camera, and if my memory is correct, that's just sort of another day at the office for you, correct? Is that
Yes.
pretty average for you?
Yeah.
What were some of the books that you read?
I read the whole Twilight series, and I'm doing a project in the Twilight series. And I read 2 war books. It was like Fantasy Wars, a few magician books, The Warriors, and some of like the first 4 Warriors sequences.
Okay. And for your efforts, you were invited along with the other finishers to attend the Georgia Tech women's basketball game, and you were honored at halftime, correct?
Yes.
Why does reading come so naturally to you?
Because I'd rather read books and watch TV.
And if you could talk about how these teachers, who flank you on either side, and how Inman Middle School in general encourages you to read. Why is this such a welcoming place to be a reader?
Well, because Miss Baker, she talks a lot about books and other things, and Miss Kay lets me check out more books than normal.
Hey, Ms. Kay, we'll talk about that later. Talk about how impressive it is to have a student like this coming into your media center all the time looking to read, and what's the challenge to you as a media specialist to encourage her to read?
It's a great feeling to have students come in and be excited about reading and be interested in reading. And of course that comes from the home, and it comes from the classroom too. So we have school-wide support for reading here. It's very, very high on the priority list, because if you can't read, you're not going to be doing good in all of your subjects. And so the challenge is that we have readers of all different levels. So the challenge is to find and keep in books that are interesting to them, because especially for leisure reading, but if they're not interested in the subject, they're not going to be interested in reading, and they won't comprehend and retain what they're reading. So the challenge is keep on top of the interest level of the student, the subject interest level and topic, and to try to find those books and keep them in, because fortunately we have a lot of really great readers here, and it's to keep them interested in reading throughout their middle school year, so that hopefully it'll still carry over into high school.
Ms. Baker, we were talking off camera about some of the reading initiatives and the type of focus that Inman brings to reading. Can you sort of walk us through how we encourage the students in different ways and integrate reading into a part of their everyday curriculum and their kind of everyday student life?
Okay. We do it in a lot of different ways. One of the things we definitely try to do is meet the Georgia standard of children reading 25 books a year. For Vicky, of course, she's going to kick that to the curb pretty easily, and last year I had almost 40 students that read well over the 25 book requirement. I had, I think, one student read 68 books, so Vicky, you're probably going to beat that record. Not only that, I have an English degree, so literature is really a love of mine, and so even when we study writing, I use sentences and phrases from adolescent literature or songs or anything, because language arts is everywhere. So we study what real writers do in books, and then we try to emulate that in my class. And so that's the way we warm up every single day. And I got that out of a workshop with Jeff Anderson, so it's just certainly not my idea, but I do embrace it, and the kids do seem to enjoy writing like famous writers. I think E.B. White was our last one last week, so we were trying to write like him. Another thing that we do have quarterly book projects, and the students have a book log, so they're responsible for keeping up with their reading and counting up their pages, and so if they meet that requirement, if they get an A each time, then they definitely will meet the 25-book requirement. On top of that, of course, then we have literature units. We just read The Outsiders as a novel that we read in class and the students quite enjoyed. And then we're going out on a limb and we're going to be reading some science fiction. We got an article over the summer sent by our principal, Dr. Bachman. All the science teachers and language arts teachers were sent that article. And the idea intrigued my team, and so my science teacher and I are coming up with a unit that will be interdisciplinary for what is the science in the science fiction. And that'll be a lit circle idea.
So it's not like reading just happens in a reading or an English setting.
No.
And the idea is to sort of cross-promote reading across the disciplines. If you're a math student, you want to be able to read in a math mode in science.
Yeah, that's part of the reading across a curriculum. So the studies that I've done, every single person uses reading in their class. If you're reading music, you're reading. And so different people read in different ways. And so I try to get my students to notice reading nonfiction is totally different than reading fiction, but you can also look at song lyrics and poetry, and that's a different kind of reading as well. So I try to give them a pretty wide exposure to the different sorts of reading. And we read paintings too, which is something we do with poetry. So there's all kinds of ways to read, whether it's with text or without.
Vicki, I was wondering if you could speak to other sixth graders. How can they better develop their reading habits, particularly at home when they're not at school?
I say check out books you actually want to read instead of just going to the library and checking out any book from the shelf.
So play to your interests.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it something where maybe you have to sort of force yourself to get into the habit of reading? Like, gee, maybe if I do 5 pages, I'll wind up doing 10 or 15. Your idea is just crack the book and go to it?
Yeah.
What are you looking to read in the future?
I'm in a magician book right now, and I found this really cool person, Jonathan Stroud. And I like his books. I read one book of his before this one, and I like his magician books because they talk about magic and fighting with magic and other things like that.
Well, congratulations so much for winning this award, and Ms. Kamenitsa and Ms. Baker, thank you very much for taking the time, and good luck with the rest of the school year.
Thank you very much.